ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
Who else could it be? For me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to Sunday Night Football Overtime. Seahawks, Steelers. The NFL continues to live up to what they have done since the season started. 2 out of 3 awesome primetime games. We got a really good finish. It wasn't a great game on Thursday night. I will grant you that. Eagles made it interesting. Buccaneers had to make some plays down the stretch to put it away, 28-22. I'd say close enough and a good enough finish to qualify as a solid game, okay? Wasn't a blowout. This one felt like it was kind of going towards a blowout, 14-0 at half. Steelers totally dominating the game. Offense, and the game literally was going exactly the way I thought it was going to go in the first half. And then they talked about Pete Carroll running into the locker room and them telling him to run into the locker room and him needing to run the ball more. And literally they come out in the opening possession of the third quarter and ram it right down the Steelers' throat. And I thought that really changed the tenor of this game. It really never felt the same after that. It's almost like the Steelers were shell-shocked. Like, wait a minute, did they just punch us in the mouth in our building with all of our, alumni here? Like, did they just do that to us? And from that point forward, it felt like the game shifted. And all of a sudden, all the things the Steelers were getting in the first half, all of the stops they were getting on defense, they were getting gashed. And look, they didn't want to give up anything cheap or deep. They were kind of saying, all right, we don't think you've got the balls to throw it on us if we keep our safeties deep. And we don't think your offensive line is good enough to run on us with 7 in the box. So go ahead, knock yourself out. And that's what they did in the second half. Alex Collins went over 100 yards. There were some great hits by Travis Homer in the second half as well. I thought the Seahawks had their way with the Steelers up front running the football. I really felt like Geno Smith was a passenger for much of this football game. Made a couple of throws. I'm not going to sit here and act as if Geno Smith was a non-participant because he wasn't. But it felt like they got to where they were in this game and essentially to a point where they could steal this one, ultimately going to overtime off the strength of the run game. It really didn't feel like Geno Smith had as much to do with that as the run game did. But that said, Geno made some throws when they had to be made, including a touchdown toss. Geno put them in a position. He did not turn it over until late, okay? And that was the thing that Geno always managed to do in his former, stops, whether it be with the Jets or the Giants or whomever. He always managed to make that one big boo-boo that you say, okay, there's Geno. There he is. And he did it again tonight, even though, if you're a Washington fan and you want to see what a havoc-wreaking, game-changing edge rusher is supposed to look like, there you are. Hope that Chase Young is at home taking notes. He probably is not. But I hope he's at home taking notes because that's what an edge rusher that's a game changer is supposed to do. Game on the line, sack. All right? Push him out of field goal range, end all threats, punt the football. That's what he did on the first possession of overtime, did TJ Watt. Second possession of overtime defensively, he strips the ball of Geno Smith, gets the ball back to the Steelers in prime position to walk it off with a game-winning field goal. That's what game-changing, havoc-wreaking edge rushers do. TJ Watt is that. So he essentially took over this game in overtime, would not let the Steelers lose this game because I think the Steelers offensively were done scoring. Their offense is just tragically bad. It really, really is. It's tough to watch at times. And the Seahawks came into this game as essentially the worst defense in football, and the Steelers made them look like a middle of the pack to, at times, dominant defense. Like this was, turning back the clock to, 2014 or something. Like this game was physical, man. It was hard hitting. Prayers go out to Taylor. Hopefully he is all right. That's scary. Anytime the game has to be paused for that long, stretcher has to be brought on, and they got to be extra careful. That's scary. And Darrell Taylor has been having a fantastic season. Hopefully he is okay, and everything they did tonight was precautionary but you never want to see that. But literally, this is a physical football game. I thought that the contact on both sides was spectacular. It was a fun one to watch. I enjoyed this thoroughly, despite the score only being 23-20. I enjoyed this game a ton. How about the forced fumble by Pierre that's what I love about the Steelers. That's why their defense is so good. They're heady football players. They're smart, and that's a big-time play. It almost won them the game. Literally punching that football out, keeping it in bounds, clock's running. It almost won them the game. They made the plays defensively. That's what's going to keep the Steelers relevant this season. I don't know if they've got enough juice in the tank defensively to carry them to enough wins to get them to postseason play. But that's what's going to carry them is their defense. They do not have the juice nor the firepower to do it offensively this year. They know that, we know that, and their opponents know that. And so if you just take care of the ball against the Steelers, make the plays that are there, you should be able to take care of business because their offense just simply isn't good enough. It just isn't. So they get the win tonight. They had to win this game. You lose to Geno Smith at home on alumni night. You lose this game. Your season's done if you're Pittsburgh. You can't rebound from this. Not with Russell Wilson on the sidelines as a cheerleader. You can't afford to lose this game. So get back to 500 with the win. Meanwhile, if you're Seattle, you gave it a run. Valiant effort, down 14 at halftime, rally back, take the lead. You got a chance. You tied up, send it to overtime. What more could you ask for, honestly speaking? You had opportunities in this game. I thought the run game was spectacular. The offensive line up front was magnificent. To open up the kind of holes, I thought Alex Collins was out of this world in this football game. He made the first defender miss consistently. He ran hard, yards after contact. I thought Travis Homer, same thing could be said for him. Ditto, essentially. And what they essentially did was they put the Seahawks offense on their backs and carried this team back into this ball game. And defensively, you weren't terrible tonight. But again, you were going up against one of the worst offenses in football. So it's not that hard to get your rocks off and feel like you're, taking steps in the right direction. But still got to go out and do it. And you did that tonight. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. And you fall short. But Geno Smith, again, did a really good job of managing this game. He really did until that final possession in overtime where he fumbled. He did not have the peripheral to see TJ Watt coming off his right shoulder and had no idea he was coming for that strip of the football. And you saw him after that play when he fumbled. He had his head down on the ground like, damn it, I blew it. I had a chance and I blew it again. Last week, it was an interception. I don't think it was his fault. Lockett falls down. It's picked off. This week, this one is on him. Your ball security is paramount, especially once you decide to leave the pocket on your own volition. Ball security is of the utmost importance. And he did not secure that football. Got to give Watt credit for getting in there and getting it out of there. To come with that tomahawk aggressively, violently, to get it out of there. And I thought your man was about to give it right back. Devin Bush looked like he was about to fumble on that play. His damn self. I'm like, first of all, he ran backwards like 7 yards to go forward. I'm like, where are you going, bro? Where are you going? I know you want to score here, but you're literally running the wrong way right now. Turn around and go the other way. There's one thing about, veering backwards to come forward. He literally was running in a beeline the wrong way and then turned around. Like, bro, you going the wrong way. Then he almost fumbled. But that's no here nor there. Steelers get the win, 23-20. Big win for them. They get back to 500. Seahawks are now 2-4 in the season. And I don't want to say their season is done, but with Russ being out for an additional 3 weeks here, I just don't understand how it is that they find a way to win while he is out. I don't know the schedule. I don't think their schedule is all that tough, though. I think I saw Jacksonville on that schedule. Let's take a look and see. They've got the Saints next, then the Jaguars, then the Packers, and then the Cardinals. He should be back for that Cardinals game, should Russ. He may even be back for that Packers game, but I think They put him on IR. I don't know if they count this week's game as a game on IR or not. But if they do, then he'll be ready for that Packers game off the bye. So if they can find a way to beat the Saints and the Jags, they're back in business. They lose to the Saints, drop to 3-5, or 2-5, excuse me, get the Jags and get to 3-5. They may still have an outside shot at turning this thing around. The schedule is very doable. I mean, when you look at the teams they've got left, Saints, Jags, Packers, Cardinals, Washington, 49ers, Texans, Rams, Bears, Lions, like it's doable. You know, they got to get on their horse. They got to get hot, and they got to get hot in the division too. You know, still got Arizona again. You still got the Rams again. Like, you got to get hot, and you got to get hot in the division. But it's a lot of games outside of their division that are very winnable if they can find a way to steady this ship while Russ is out. For the Steelers, you get back to 500. Got the Browns, who are struggling right now in Cleveland. Matter of fact, you're heading into your bye week. So you may be able to get some guys back from injury, come off the bye, Halloween day at Cleveland, then the Bears the following Monday night, Lions after that, Chargers on the road, Bengals on the road after that. So there's some winnable games here for the Steelers. So you go into the bye week feeling good, back to 500 after starting the season off 1-3. You get back to 500 with 2 straight. See what happens when you come off the bye. The bye week is always sweeter when you win. It's tough to go on a bye after having a loss and just letting that nasty taste marinate in your mouth. Now you get this win, you feel good, you're 3-3, and you say, why can't we just make something out of this season now? You hit the reset button and start this thing anew. Big win for the Steelers as they head into their bye week, back at 500. Big win. Had to have it. You could not afford to lose this game, and they did not. Got a super chat here, and then we will get to the comment section. Start out with Tizzy Bang. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Greatly appreciate you, Tizzy Bang, for the super chat, who writes, hit on all my picks today. Need Bills to cover at -2.5 for a 9-teamer. Wow. Am I safe? No, you are not. I think I picked Tennessee to win. I think the Titans are going to win that game. The last time, and now this is a different Bills team, granted, and that's a different Titans team, but the Titans are getting back Julio! And they'll have also A.J. Brown, who did play last week but wasn't 100%. He's a lot better this week with that extra day off as well. With Julio Jones back, they are at full strength for the first time since, I believe, week 2. So they're feeling good about themselves. They're coming off of a win. And I can tell you that the last time the Bills were thoroughly manhandled was this Titans team. So I'm not saying that the Titans are going to do that again, but I like their chances to win this game, right? You know, to win this game outright. And you need the Bills to cover this thing. I don't know if they go on the road and get it done. You know, the Bills look like they're superhuman right now after the ass whooping they put on the Chiefs in Kansas City. We're going to see. If they go to Tennessee and do the same thing, I'm really going to start to think, okay, they really legitimately are the best team in the AFC. I think this is a tough matchup for them. This is not a matchup that I think the Bills like. I don't think this favors them because they're going to get bludgeoned to death with Derrick Henry. And when they get nosy and come up, Tannehill's going to have some opportunities on both sides with AJ and they don't have great corners in Buffalo. They've got Tre'Davious White, who is a great corner. The other corner is not that all that great. So I think there will be opportunities for them to take some shots down the field once that Buffalo Bills defense realizes that Derrick Henry is coming and he's coming and he's coming, and we're going to have to stop him because he's going to get it 30 times. That's when they go over the top, and we'll see if they hit a couple of times or not. But good luck, man. All I can do is wish when you come this close, I would root for you, but I'm selfish. I need to win for me. So I would root for you. Because that's a hell of a teaser. You know, you got 9 of them. It's a hell of a parlay there. But I got the Titans, so I need the Titans. Silver V, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Silver V writes, first year of doing the Survivor Pool. And oh my God, this is tense, Louis T. I told you survivor pools are no joke because they have you on the edge of your seat because all it takes is one F up. And I don't watch outside of the Washington game. I am no more invested in a game than the team I picked for my survivor pool. And luckily enough for me, this was an easy week because I knew the Giants were dead team walking. They had no Saquon Barkley, so essentially they were back to last year's offense. They still had a bunch of receivers out. Daniel Jones is coming off of a concussion, so how good was he really going to be? And so Kadarius Toney leaves the game first quarter, literally the first possession. He's out essentially. And the Rams just steamrolled them. So I didn't have to sweat this one out. Last week, literally, I thought I had lost again. And the Ravens somehow rallied back, took it to overtime, and won. If you had the Patriots last week as well, you were sitting on the edge of your seat, then you probably were one of those people with the Patriots. I stayed away from the Patriots for that very reason. And I did something risky because I knew the Colts were not going to lay down. But I just said the Ravens on a Monday night at home, they should be fine. And they almost blew it. So this week was a lot safer than last, but that's what a survivor pool is all about. He says, last week, the Patriots, today, so you were one of the Patriots people. I figured you were because you said it's intense. So he says, today, the Steelers, man, Big Ben is out there looking so bad. Big Ben looks like old Ben. That's essentially what it is that he's no longer Big Ben. He's just old Ben. And he can't move. I already said this. He can't move, and the arm, it's not dead. It's just not as alive, and he's not as accurate either. Ben used to be able to put that football wherever. It's almost like he had it on a string. He can't put that football where he wants to as consistently, accurately as he used to. So there's a lot wrong fundamentally with their offense. They're not in tune and in sync yet. I don't know if they ever get on the same page this season or not. They talked about, the challenges of the offense and meshing this concept with this guy's philosophy and all of this stuff. It's a mess. And you can tell, they're struggling, to say the least. And they want to run the football, but that hasn't been all that consistent for them either. So, it's a work in progress. But Ben definitely looks like this is it. This has got to be the last year of Ben in Pittsburgh. Got to be. Thank you for the super chat, Silver V. Fat American, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Sup, Lou? What up, Fat American? Few takeaways from today. Washington football team is a 5-6 win team. JDR's seat continues to heat up. Heineke, not the answer. Need QB, but not this draft. Next year's? ? I think a lot of these questions have already been answered. JD's seat being hot or continues to heat up, I don't necessarily know if that's the case or not. I don't feel that way. Thought the defense actually played well again today and gave us a shot. 500 yards total offense, 31 points. I get it, yada, yada, yada. You create 3 turnovers in the first half. You force the amount of punts that you did out of the Chiefs early in the game. The offense has to give you more than what they gave you. The offense was pathetic today. So Heineke's not the answer. Clearly, I said that last week. Last week was the game for me. You had to beat the Saints. You had to play better last week. He did not. That was the one that is, okay, there's a ceiling here. He's clearly a backup. I told you, I want him on the roster. I want him on the team as a backup. I don't want him starting. We need a QB. That is clearly the case. This year's draft may not be the answer, though. That's the problem. That's the dilemma you find yourself in. But we'll see what happens. I don't know what the future holds for this team in terms of the offseason. Last offseason, did we think Deshaun Watson and, Matthew Stafford, Carson Wentz, and all of these quarterbacks would be available? Did we know that was going to be the quarterback landscape and all of that it would change as much as it did? No, we could see 2 or 3 more veterans become available this year. And, maybe we will be hot on the trail of one of them. We'll see. But this is definitely not the environment you want to put yourself in, needing a quarterback. When you look at the landscape of college football, there just isn't any alphas really out there that you look at and say, hey, this guy looks legitimately like a big-time NFL quarterback. Again, it's an inexact science. There could be 2 of these guys that come out and turn out to be studs at the next level. I just don't see it. So we'll see what happens. Fat American, thank you for the super chat. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Fat American, greatly appreciate you. Fat American writes, I know upcoming draft class is weak for quarterbacks so far. I mean, it is, and you've probably heard me say that a million times. That's probably why you feel that way. I could be wrong. Again, I know most people probably have the same sentiments that I do, that this isn't a strong draft class for quarterbacks. That doesn't mean there won't be one or two that actually turn out to be really good. I've told you that I got to watch Malik Willis out of Liberty some more. I like Matt Corral. I just need to watch more of Matt Corral. But what I've seen, I've watched him for multiple years. So I kind of have a good read and feel for him, but I still need to watch more of him to be even more sure and comfortable about what he brings to the table. I think the rest of those guys right now for me are crapshoots. They have potential, they have talent, but is this a guy that you can invest your future in and hitch your wagon to? I don't know if you can do that with any of these other quarterbacks. Desmond Ridder and Sam Howell and all of these other guys that may be coming out that are supposed to be highly rated quarterbacks. I just don't see it with any of these guys. So we'll see what happens. Fat American says, also, would you do a fan phone calls post game? No, I would not do that. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. The fan phone call segment never goes the way that I want it to go. And it just takes away from the show. That's what I find, is that it stops the momentum of the show. You get somebody that decides, oh, one more question, and next thing you know, I'm on one call for 12 minutes. It's a mess. I did it. I enjoyed it when I did do it, but the way that I do it now is a lot more, to me, organized, and it flows better to me. So let's get to the comment section. That was the last super chat. Storm writes, man, this was an old school throwback game, especially in that second half. Spirit of 1976 out there. Tell me about it, Storm. And that's what I said. This felt like a physical affair. Like, this was not for the faint of heart. If you like offensive football and you like 40-37, this was not for you. This was hard hitting. This was physical. You better strap up that chin strap, and it better be double buckled. Okay, none of that cute one hanging down shit, because your lid might pop off. Because dudes was getting hit up under the chin. I mean, there's some physical shit going on out there, man. A lot of running, because neither offense really wanted to put it in the air. This was a different type of football game. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Storm also says, prayers up for that Seattle defender, number 52, Darrell Taylor, who suffered the injury to his upper extremities. Don't really know what happened. We saw the neck get jammed. Anytime that happens, a lot of the lower extremities can go, limp. And hopefully, first thing you think about is spinal cord. Anytime a neck gets jammed and everything goes numb and you lose feeling for a second temporarily, you think of spinal cord. And you just hope that we get a message from Schefter or Ian Rappaport, one of these insiders, overnight, 2 a.m, hey, Darrell Taylor is fine. He, checked out of the hospital and he's going to fly back to Seattle with the team. Like, that's what you hope to hear. So I'll be checking for that definitely to see if he's okay. But definitely prayers up for him. Black Al B, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Black Al B writes, what it do, Lou? What it do, Black Al B? He says, what's your take on Willis from Syracuse University? I haven't watched him. Let's see. Again, they're going to be other guys, but I haven't watched him. So I'd have to see him to be able to give an assessment of what he potentially brings to the table. There are going to be a bunch of other quarterbacks that I haven't been exposed to, probably, that are going to get drafted or be in the discussion. And there'll be work to do. And again, with Washington stinking it up, I might be able to get a head start on it this year, honestly speaking. So we'll see what happens. But I don't, again, he might be good, but he's not going to be good enough for me to be like, oh, yeah, this is the guy right here. I doubt it, seriously. So, there are going to be a ton of guys that emerge from this process. I don't think I'm going to be blown away by any of them, honestly. Even the guys like Willis and Corral, I think they're going to be solid. I don't think I'm going to be blown away. Like, the last few drafts, I'm like, man, at least 2 of these dudes are going to end up being studs. last year's draft, the draft before that, the draft before that. I think we've had strong quarterback drafts, probably going all the way back to 18. The last really stinky one we had, I think, was 19. That was just the Kyler Murray draft with, Drew Lock in the second round, Dwayne Haskins and Daniel Jones in the first round with Kyler Murray. That was the last stinker we had. But 18 was phenomenal. 19, Murray's holding that thing up right now by himself. 20 was outstanding. I think 21 is going to end up being really, really good when it's all said and done. So, we might be due for another stinker. You have 2 back-to-back really strong draft classes with quarterbacks. I think this might be the one where it looks more like 19, where you get one dude at 1. The next guy doesn't come off the board until 9 or 10 because somebody's desperate. The next dude may not come off the board until 20 because another team's desperate, and that's it. No more first-round quarterbacks. Or it could just be one dude at 1, and then you get one more quarterback and then no more, or just one dude at 1 and no other quarterbacks in the first round, which is rare because somebody's going to be desperate enough to take a chance, generally speaking. Anyway, I digress. Joel Jr. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Joel Jr. writes, is this good trade Russell Wilson for Lamar Jackson? For who? I don't think the Seattle Seahawks are built to take on Lamar Jackson. No, that's not a good trade, really, for either team, honestly speaking. Seahawks aren't built to – you have to build an offense around Lamar Jackson. They're not built to win with Lamar Jackson, whereas Russell Wilson could go to Baltimore and fit in perfectly fine there, But I think both of those quarterbacks are good right where they are, especially Lamar Jackson. And like I said, you have to have a system that fits his skill set. And the Ravens have essentially bought into Lamar Jackson being their future and have built an offense that is really centric around his skill set. So, no, that wouldn't be a good trade for either team, to be honest with you. Now, Russell Wilson, again, he'd fit in anywhere he went. But with Lamar Jackson, I don't think the Seahawks are equipped to really, be where they need to be right away with just dropping him into the mix and having him take off. Not to say that he wouldn't do what he's doing in Baltimore because he's so dynamic, he would love to have DK Metcalf, but he's also got to have a tight end, a beast tight end. I like Gerald Everett. He almost scored a touchdown tonight, but no, I don't think that would be a good trade. Kevin O. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Kevin O writes, y'all getting clapped by my Packers, right? Of course I know that. I told you that 3 weeks ago. This is why we needed to beat the Saints last week. Because we were going to lose to Kansas City and then we were going to lose to the Packers. But Kevin, let me say something to you. Please, you have to admit, this Packers team feels like 2019. Don't tell me you watched the game today and you didn't think, man, we're okay, but we're not great. You were struggling, and I get it. It's family business. The Bears stink. Their defense is good. The Bears stink. They really do. And you were in a dogfight today. In a dogfight. I'm sorry. This feels like 19. Less like 20, more like 19 to me. That's just my opinion, Kevin. But you're going to smash us next week. You're supposed to smash us next week. Dre, true statement. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Dre writes, rumor has it Seahawks may be interested in Cam Newton. Do you think it's real? No, I do not. And if so, what could he bring to the offense? No, I don't think it's real. And Cam can't bring anything to anybody's offense. Cam couldn't bring anything to the Patriots offense. What makes you think he can bring something to the Seahawks offense? Now, I will grant you this. They got much better weapons in Seattle than they did in New England. That is a fact. However, Cam is done. Okay? Cam is done. Cam, I think, is still capable of playing, but not at a very high level. Just like Ben Roethlisberger is still capable of playing, just not at a very high level. I don't think he would bring much of anything to their offense. And again, they're not interested. This is how you know they're not interested. What would you do? Bring him in, and how would you gonna start him next? After the bye week. I mean, what are you gonna do? You got 2 more games, and then a bye week, and then Russell Wilson should be back. So what would be the point of bringing Cam Newton on? That's why you got Geno Smith. Cam doesn't know the offense. What are you going to try to fast track him, get him up to speed, run quarterback power all game? I mean, what are you going to do with him? Nah, there's no way. The Seahawks, no one's interested in Cam Newton. He had to be on a roster. Like the one position that it's hard for you to just latch onto a team and play immediately is quarterback. Like there's so many things that have to go in. There's so many nuances to the quarterback position. It's just tough. So no, I don't see Cam Newton finding a home during this season. He may be back next year. Somebody may give him a ring next year. I don't see it happening though. I think he's done. Much like Robert Griffin III. Brandon Hayes, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Brandon Hayes writes, watching other teams makes me see we really don't have any dog-ass dudes that just play like their hair's on fire, especially watching other teams' defense. Like I just pointed out that peanut punch that forced the fumble by Pierre late in the ball game on that final possession, really final play of regulation. We don't have dudes that I don't know if I've seen one guy try a peanut punch. It's so prevalent around the league now. It's a taught skill, yet none of our players do it. None of our players do it. And TJ Watt, that's what a havoc-wreaking, game-changing edge rusher looks like. All right. Juan Gotti, talking sports, says, what is slide by Rosario, or what a slide by Rosario? He says, what a sin by Ron Washington. Even as a Nationals fan, I love that. Ozzie should have been on second, though. So you got to remember, Juan, and he's switching gears for a second to baseball. You got to understand that Rosario's run, it does count. Obviously, you're down 2. But in the grand scheme of things, Ozzie can't afford to get thrown out at second, trying to be greedy. Right? Because he's the tying run. And there was only 1 out in the inning. So again, you don't want to mess around and have a situation where Ozzie's being greedy. They just concede Rosario's run because, again, he doesn't matter. We're down 2. So if they concede that run, throw Ozzie out trying to get the second, now you're screwed. Now, again, you're 1 pitch away from having a tie ball game, but Ozzie was important. He needed to stay where he was because you can't force the issue because they'll concede that run to get Ozzie out. Ozzie staying at first means we can steal second. And you're seeing in the playoffs, teams are aggressive. They're still in second base. You got to manufacture runs. So he didn't have to steal second because Austin Riley, who was our MVP, literally smoked a double, the center, and he was able to score from first base. And like you said, a hell of a sin by Ron Washington. Ron's been aggressive all year. There were times where people have been jumping down Ron's throat, but that's Ron's move. He's aggressive. And I'd much rather go with the aggressive approach than passive aggressive and then not having timely enough hitting to get guys home. I mean, when it works, everyone loves it. When it doesn't, you're the scapegoat. We saw what happened in the wild card with the Yankees and the Red Sox. Their third base coach sent him, and everybody wanted to kill him. There's a fine line you walk as a third base coach. When you're right, everybody's going to praise you. When you're wrong, you're the scapegoat. So, but love Ron Washington. That's our guy. We love him in Atlanta. He also says, didn't like the bunt by Dansby. Could have laid it a little softer. Hey, when it's coming up there at 102, bro, you just trying to keep your fingers out of the way. And you sound like you've played baseball before. So I play baseball. When you trying to lay down a bunt, you would like it to be coming up there a lot easier for you to be able to directional, slide it down third, slide it down first. Yeah, he probably could have angled the bat a little bit more to get it over towards down the first base line a little bit more to really put that pressure on the first baseman to have to field it and not have the pitcher be able to just go and throw it out, throw it to second and get the force. But at the same time, that's just coming in there at 102. Okay, you're just trying to put bat barrel on ball at that point. So I'm not really mad at Dansby. And Dansby, we don't ask Dansby to bunt very often. Not to say that that's an excuse, but it's tough. He says, or to the third base side, took out the lead runner. Your thoughts? Granted, he was throwing 100, but I mean, and that's pretty much what I said. Like, dude wasn't throwing 100. It was 102. Okay. Like, Bruzar, Gratterall, easy gas. We call that easy gas. Okay. Doesn't even look like he's straining at all. He says, one more, and then back to football. My former Nat, Trey Turner, makes that play. I don't care if it was 105 off the bat. Don't get comfortable, Lou. Remember 3-0 last year. First of all, timeout. F Trey Turner. That's number one. Number two, and I say that with the utmost respect. Okay, I respect Trey Turner. Number two, it was not 3-0. It was 3-1 last year. Number three, we wanted these boys. We know what it is. Look, at the end of the day, I'm going to say this. I've said this already. My homeboy, massive Braves fan like myself, he was scared of the Dodgers. I said, that's that bitch assness in you. Because if you're a competitor, you want the Dodgers. They've been smoking us in the playoffs for years. It's time to bully the bully. I said, it's our year. Our year. All right? As a wise man once said, it's our year. Our year. So we know what time it is. And it was 3-1, not 3-0. This ain't last year either. That's the last point. Last year was last year. This is this year. And we on a mission this year, as you can tell. So those boys better get ready, because all I want is one back at Chavez Ravine. That's all I want. I don't mind coming back and doing this thing in Atlanta. That's why it was important to win both. They got to come back to Atlanta now. No matter what happens in LA, they got to come back to Atlanta. See if we got any more super chats. Yeah, we do. Dejan Bell, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Dejan writes, hey, Lou, I missed your reaction after the Skins game. What did you think of it? Catch me up. I mean, the video's there for you to watch, but I'll give you a brief synopsis. The defense played well enough for us to win for the second consecutive week. For the second straight week, the offense was lackluster. Last week, it was more on Taylor Heineke. This week, it was a collective failure by the offense. Scott Turner is a play caller. Taylor Heineke is the leader of the offense. We had a drop by Terry on a big play over the middle of the football field, a fumble by Antonio Gibson that gave the Chiefs some prime field position. De'Ami Brown had a chance to go up and get a 50-50 ball for a touchdown. He couldn't do it. Terry had a chance to go up and get a 50-50 ball. He couldn't do it. It was a collective failure on the part of the entire offense. Taylor Heineke averaged 4.4 yards per attempt. That sums it up. Everything was underneath, nickel and dime that we did complete. It was embarrassing. The Chiefs have one of the worst defenses in football, and we made them look similar to what the Steelers made the Seahawks defense look like. We made the Chiefs defense look like in the game. We made the Chiefs defense look like it was actually a credible NFL defense, and it's looked like anything but this season. So that just tells you the state of where we are as a football team. We looked injured. We looked at times disinterested on offense. Defensively, they fought their asses off, but it's only so much fighting you can do. They forced 3 first-half turnovers. And again, I don't want to harp on what points we got off of the turnovers, because as often with Washington, those turnovers came deep in our territory. So, we were just happy to not give up any points on those turnovers that we forced, instead of us having great field position and setting the offense up for something. But the one turnover that we did force that was close to midfield or giving us some great field position, we actually did score a touchdown off of that. And Taylor Heineke's arm strength continues to be an issue. On a critical 3rd and 2, he barely got the football out there to Adam Humphries. That forced, and then a lot of people were upset with Ron's lack of aggression on that particular situation. First of all, people were upset, including myself, with Scott Turner's play calling on that 3rd and 2, because you're not beating the Chiefs kicking field goals. So at that point, you're up 13-10. It's 3rd and 2. You got 2 downs to get 2 yards. It should be 2 runs in a row. Chiefs haven't stopped us from getting 2 yards on just about any run play. So even if they held us to a yard, without their best interior defensive lineman, Chris Jones, you should be running it at them. And for whatever reason, we decided we were going to throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage. Taylor Heineke barely gets it out there, and Hump ends up losing 2 yards. And Ron decides, it's 4th and 4. Let's kick a field goal, make it 16-10. Cool. 3 field goals is going to beat the Chiefs. Nice. Okay. So, yeah, I thought it was a piss poor effort all the way around from the coaching staff. the players. Another poor exhibition on tackling by the team. And we just look like we lack game changers. We lack game we lack game breakers, guys that can make a true difference. And we're back to pretty much only having Terry on offense. That's what it feels like. And on defense, I thought we forced some turnovers and gave our team a chance. Got some punts, got some stops. And then like last week, when we needed a stop, once the defense kind of had it set in their mind that probably going to lose this game, but hey, never know. Let's just get a stop and see what the offense does. They couldn't get a stop. Chiefs got the ball with about 10 minutes left and got converted 8 straight third downs en route to a touchdown to push the game pretty much out of reach at 31-13. It was 24-13 with 10 minutes left. Game's not over. You can get 3 possessions in the game with 10 minutes left, depending on how things go. You'll at least get 2. At least get 2, minimum. And we let the Chiefs run off about 7 minutes and score a touchdown with 8 straight third down conversions. So that's pretty much the synopsis of the game. Kevin O, thank you for the super chat. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Kevin O. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Kevin writes, please, Lou, give my Packers a chance to get healthy down the stretch. This team is different than 2019. Defense is way better with our top 2 players out. I guess I will give them a chance. I'm more so talking about this offense than I am the defense. Because when you get to the playoffs, you're not going to play the Bears offense. You're going to play, and I don't care if your 2 best defenders are out, you're going to play much better offenses when you get to the postseason. They're going to score against your defense, whether you got Zadarius Smith back or not. My thing is, your offense, I don't think, is capable of carrying you when you play better defenses. That's the problem. That's why this feels like 19. Last year, I was confident with your offense, with Aaron Rodgers. I'm like, you can't stop their offense. Rodgers, again, was at an MVP level last year and won the MVP. Your offense had it on tilt. The defense just needed to be okay. And it wasn't in the playoffs. Actually, I take that back. They forced 3 straight turnovers of Brady and gave you a chance, and your offense let you down in the NFC Championship game last year. I don't think the offense is good enough this year. That's why it feels like 19, because the offense wasn't good enough in 19. That's what I'm saying. You're talking about your 2 best players on defense. I don't think defense is your problem. I think offense is your problem. You're not winning a Super Bowl because of your defense. That's not how you roll in Green Bay. You're going to win a Super Bowl because Aaron Rodgers and his offense is going to have to outscore some teams. And maybe that's the difference this year. Maybe you can actually stop teams from scoring. I don't think that's the case. But we'll see. Bottom line is, I don't have confidence in your offense. They look shaky to me. But we'll see. Joel Jr., thank you for the super chat. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Joel Jr., who writes, Seahawks might not make the playoffs because of our defense. I don't think you are making the playoffs this year. And it starts with the poor play of your defense. But we'll see. I don't want to count them out quite yet. Not yet. But it's not looking too good. Not looking good at all. Fat American, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Fat American writes, someday, Lou, someday the team will be good again. That's what I keep telling myself. Someday, I don't know when. I hope I'm alive to see it, but someday, in my mind, I just got to outlast Snyder to have a shot. He's 55, I think. I just got to outlast him. I should be able to do that. God spare life. And if I can do that, I might have a shot. You might have a shot. We might all have a shot. But that doesn't include everybody. There's some that are up there, There's some of us, that are a little higher up there in the age bracket. And you may not be able to outlast Snyder to see this team win again consistently, big time. So, that's where I'm at with mine, but I'm riding with Ron, but we know what the common denominator is. We know what it is. So we'll see. See where we left off at. Hank Midas says, why can't our D contain the quarterback in the pocket? Also, F what Mahomes' brother did to the 21 Memorials. Patrick Mahomes' brother is a dick. He's an idiot. And he's the prime example of what the young youth of America look like today. They dumb as hell. They have no respect or regard for, things that matter, because all that matters to them is getting views and likes on Snap and TikTok. And, they're out for the instant gratification of, oh, look at what he just did, instead of being respectful. Like these young boys out here, man, I tell you, some of them just need a good old-fashioned, passionate, and ass whooping and getting their shoes, coat, and a hat taken, and he's one of them. Just need just a nice sound beating is what he needs. He's so disrespectful. Did not do a good job with that one at all, but that's no here nor there. The bottom line is, for some reason, we can't keep quarterbacks in the pocket. We don't get enough interior pocket push. We don't do a great job of keeping contained on the outsides, whether our ends are going too far up the field or going too far inside. There always seems to be space outside for quarterbacks to extend or just flat out run. So, it's twofold. It's not just the ends, flying up the field or going too far inside. It's also our defensive tackles not getting any interior push. We could use a Vita Vea type, a guy that just brute strength, physical, and collapses pockets by himself. We don't have that. We got finesse dudes that want to win with quickness and things of that nature, but they ain't winning. So, it's frustrating for sure. Edward Washington, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Edward writes, TJ Watt took over the game. Our D-line needs to take notes. Yes, he did. And yes, they do. And I said that at the top of the show. That's what a game-changing, havoc-wreaking edge rusher looks like. Game on line. My team needs me. I'm going to go make a play. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Did you see the run on that first down in overtime? They tried to double team him with the 2 tight ends. Get your ass out of the way, man. That's what ballers do. That's what dogs, dirty dogs, big dogs that bark and will bite. That's what they do. Red Wings 01 writes, that injury to Darrell Taylor felt like Darius Hayward-Bay all over again. Really hope he's okay. We all do. We definitely all do. You never want to see that on the football field. Now, they literally had to take 2 commercial breaks. 2. It's rough. Hope he's okay. Emperor Meech writes, DK Metcalf is a dumbass. He did some dumbass shit last year, like the Dallas game, channeling his inner Leon. Yeah, he did. I remember he got stripped of the ball going in the end zone. And that ended up being, I think, a touchback. And then tonight, you got no timeouts. What are we doing? You're in field goal range with the catch. You make a dude miss. What are we doing? Why are we fighting for extra yards? What's the purpose behind that? Where's the psychological sense in that, player? If you think that's a good idea, you need to wash your face and get your damn mind right. You almost cost your team the game. For what? An extra yard or 2? Some of these dudes, man, short a taco of a combination plate, man. I told you, all these guys don't always have it. They don't always have it. Got to be situationally aware. Maybe Geno didn't tell his guys in the huddle, and, this is the job of a quarterback. You get in the huddle, you say, hey, look, we don't have any more timeouts. If you get tackled in bounds, you got to get up. You got to run that ball back to the middle of the field or run it to the nearest official, and we got to get set up. If you catch it near the sidelines, get out of bounds. That's your job as a quarterback, to make sure everyone's aware of the game situation. I don't know if he wasn't aware or he wasn't told, but man, it almost cost them. Jonathan Hankey writes, as a Giants fan, please beat those Dodgers, Louie. LOL. Oh, we're going to take care of them for you. Don't worry about it. Their time is coming. Their reign of terror over the NL is about to come to an end, at least for this year. We're going to take these boys down. We had them on the ropes last year. We let them off the hook. This time, we're going to finish the job. I'm confident. I wanted them. I wasn't ducking them. I didn't want the Giants. My homeboy wanted the Giants. He was scared. Scared money don't make no money. That's that bitch assness in you. I want the Dodgers. We're going to take care of them, Jonathan. Don't worry. Emperor Meech writes, someone go get someone go get some glue, a uncooked macaroni noodle for DK. Dude is J.R. Smith time from 2018 finals. I don't think he's that aloof, but he definitely had a brain fart there. Definitely. But it's akin to that. Not knowing the game situation. Almost cost his team. We would have been talking about that a lot more had it actually cost his team. Had that ball been recovered by the Steelers, or had Freddie Swain recovered it, but two Steelers players dived on top of him and kept him down on the ground a little bit longer, and he wasn't able to get that ball to the official, and they didn't stop the game in enough time, yeah, we'd be talking a lot more about that play by DK Metcalf, because it really was boneheaded. Austin writes, TJ, best defensive player in the league. I don't know about that. There's some dogs in here. Aaron Donald, TJ's up there, though. TJ is definitely up there. You know, Myles Garrett is definitely up there. There's some dogs on the defensive side of the football. TJ's a bad, bad boy, man. Bad man. Red Wings 01 says, the legend of Geno Smith, does it grow or is it a mirage? Oh, that's a mirage all day. I mean, first of all, nobody ever said anything about the legend of Geno Smith. You don't get a legend unless you win a game. You know, Geno came in, moved them down the field against the Rams, but they lost that game. He threw a pick. Geno managed the game well tonight, but he fumbled at the end and cost them the game, and they lost. You don't get to have a legend unless you win. You got to create a legend first. You can create a legend. So it's a mirage. It's a mirage. For sure. Emperor Meat says, mint, some, and glue, and yeah, I figured it out. You made me work, but I figured it out. Reese says, great day of football, Lou. It's always nice to have a week to just watch games without the extra added stress of the Bucs playing. Isn't it great when you win on Thursday? I felt that feeling in week 2. It's just a great feeling when you take care of business on Thursday, and then you just get to watch games and don't have to worry about, as you mentioned, the added stress of rooting for your team and hoping they take care of business. You just get to watch everybody else. You know, and today wasn't actually a great day of football. It was a lot of ass whoopings today. A lot of ass whoopings. Not really a lot of competitive games, but the ones that were competitive were really good, like the Dallas-New England game. But for the most part, tons of ass whoopings handed out. The Bengals destroyed the Lions. I watched like 3 ass whoopings. The Chiefs destroyed Washington. The Ravens absolutely systematically took apart the Chargers today, which was a surprise. I thought they would win. That's a bad matchup for the Chargers. Remember, I told you guys, the Chargers can't stop the run. They're the worst run defense in football. Who thought that was going to be a good game? Who thought that was going to be a good matchup is what I meant. I didn't think that Justin Herbert would struggle the way that he did, turn it over the way that he did, and ultimately lead to the ass whooping that it actually turned out to be. But they couldn't stop that offense because the threat of the run is real with the Ravens. and they are one of the worst in the league at stopping a run. And I said that's going to be their undoing this season. Is if you can't stop the run consistently, you can't win in this league anything of note. So there's some bad matchups out there for the Chargers, like the Titans. That's a really bad matchup for the Chargers. Like styles make fights. That was a really uneven and unfair fight. There were some other ass whoopings that took place today. How about the Cardinals? My God. Wow. What has gotten into the Cardinals? That was impressive. So I would say it was an okay day of football. Giants got their doors blown off. You know, I literally had 5 games in front of me at 1 o'clock, and 4 of the games that I was watching ended up being a blowout. The only one was the Green Bay game that ended up being semi-competitive. Cincinnati blew out Detroit. The Giants were getting blown out by the Rams, and also the Ravens were blowing out the Chargers. And then I had Washington on the big screen, and obviously they ultimately got their asses kicked as well. So I watched 5 games at 1 o'clock, and only one turned out to be a good game. So I don't think this was a great Sunday of football, but it's always a great Sunday when you don't have to worry about your team because they already took care of business on Thursday. So I agree with you there. Jonathan Hankey writes, I wasn't going to be surprised if the Steelers lost to the Seahawks. Steelers tend to lose to bad teams that they should beat, LOL. You know, it's funny, my guy, Captain Spartan, always used to tell me that. Like, he said, look, man, I don't like us this week. And it'd be the Dolphins, and the Dolphins would be like 2-7. He's like, we always struggle with the Dolphins, and we always lose to these types of teams. And he would be right. Every time he would tell me something like that, they would lose. So, had Captain Spartan say, hey, we're going to lose to the Seahawks this week, I would have believed him. But I didn't think they were going to lose this game. But they tried. That offense is really anemic, man. They tried. Emperor Meat says, a good chunk of my family are Steelers fans. But, boy, Benjamin is absolutely washed. Isn't he, though? Jesus. I told you, and a lot of times in these situations, when you have been at the pinnacle of the sport and your skills start to diminish, you're usually the last one to know. When Father Time starts to tap you on the shoulder and you go, nah, man, just get one more year. He's like, no, bring your ass right now. He's like, nah, I got it, man, one more year. While he was sitting on the bench with Pouncey crying, he should have said, you know what, I'm going to. This is it. But like an old fighter who doesn't know when it's time to throw in the towel, he's got to go back out there because I can still do it. Benjamin is past washed. It's tough to watch sometimes, especially when he's got to move. He looks like a 54-year-old grandpa out in the backyard playing two-hand tag with his 2 grandkids. It's rough. Reese says, is there any chance Urban Meyer can save his job, or is he done no matter what? He can save his job. Absolutely. They got to win games, and he's got to win that locker room over. You heard what owner Khan said. Look, he's got to gain our trust back. He's got to earn that back. The only way you earn that is by actions, not by any words. His actions will speak louder than anything he can say out of his mouth. He took a massive step with the win yesterday over in London. That's a huge step in the right direction. Now you got to build off of that. We'll see if what he does. Still feels like one and done-ish right now, but that's a big win. Ree says, the one thing I love about Chase Young is that he has so much respect for the game. Him paying homage to Sean Taylor today and last year showing so much respect to Brady, you can tell. Like, Chase Young gets it. He gets it from that standpoint. I want to see him grow his game. That's what I'm more concerned about right now. Like, as a guy, he gets it. He's the kind of guy you want on your team. You know, he's a team player. He's dialed in. He wants the best for everyone. I just need to see him take his game to the next level. You know, there's a certain regression that we feel like is being had right now. And I think it just simply stems from the fact that he isn't taking what I think he worked on in the offseason and applying it to the field. I think he is reverting back to old habits. And you can get away with that, again, as I mentioned, when you're playing against Rutgers, when you're playing against Northwestern, when you're playing against Maryland, you can get away with just raw athleticism and ability. But when you get to the NFL, those guys are equally as athletically gifted as you are. So now you got to start winning with technique. You got to start using some of the things you worked on in the offseason to get better. And one of the things he worked on was cutting a man in half, you know, working an edge. One of the things he worked on was more hand usage, being a black belt. We haven't seen any of that stuff. We saw it in the first preseason game on the first third down of the season in the preseason against the Patriots when he sacked Cam Newton. We haven't seen it since. Derek B., thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, felt Tomlin should have gone for the 4th and 3 instead of the 52-yard field goal. Too much time and timeout left for Seattle to win or tie with a field goal. First down wins. But what if you don't get it? You think about that? Now you lose on a field goal. I didn't have a problem with, look, their offense stinks, okay? The Steelers' offense is atrocious. I had no problems with Tomlin playing it safe with one of the better field goal kickers in the league. Kick the damn field goal. I had no problems with him taking the field goal there and giving his offense a chance, or giving his team a chance to win the football game in regulation with a defensive stop, or giving his team a chance to go to overtime and win the football game. They weren't going to win the game, were the Seahawks, in regulation, not against the Steelers defense. They were going to have to settle for a field goal. They weren't going to win that game with a touchdown. I didn't have a problem with him selling for the field goal, because if you don't get it, now they got the ball at damn near midfield, and they're going to win the game now. All they need is a couple of first downs, and then they're kicking a walk-off field goal. And they, too, have a really good kicker on their side in Jason Myers. So, no. The worst outcome, and you got to be able to put your team in this position, the worst outcome, and you can say, well, what if he missed a field goal? Well, I trust my kicker. Chris Boswell is one of the best kickers in the game. I don't expect him to miss. If you kicking with Dustin Hopkins, then you can say, I don't know, maybe we should go for it. 52 is a pretty long way for this dude. But when you got Justin Tucker, Mason Crosby, and I know Crosby had, you know, a spaz out moment last week, but that's rare. Few and far between. Generally, those guys don't miss. When you got one of those kickers, 52, that's nothing. Go out there and stroke that. And he did. And Jason Myers is another one of those kickers. He had a little meltdown early in the season, but for the most part, he doesn't miss either. So I thought he did the right thing, because the last thing you wanted to do was give the Seahawks a chance to walk it off with a field goal of their own. They weren't getting in the end zone. So the worst outcome that you had to set yourself up for was, hey, they kick a field goal, we go into overtime. I like my chances in overtime. I don't want to go to overtime, but I like my chances in overtime. And that's what they did. I don't have a problem with that. Thought it was actually a smart decision. Reed says, Big Ben looks and plays like he just ate an entire Thanksgiving dinner, but the kids convinced him to go out and throw a few passes. That's exactly what he looks like, Reed. I mean, he oh my God. It looks awful out there. And he's got on so many pads because he's old and he's starting to fall apart. And he, you know, you get hit on the rib. Now he's got a rib. You know, all quarterbacks wear the rib protector. Most of them do at least. But then he's got like a hip pad on because that's hurting him. And everything, he just looks like he's just the Michelin man. Like, it's just too much shit going on there. Derek B. Maybe Dustin has me too scared to trust him from 52. I wouldn't trust him from 52 in that situation. I trust Dustin from 52 in the first quarter. He probably a miss, but I would send him out. In that particular instance, 4th and 3, I might go for it with Dustin Hopkins as my kicker. I don't know. I mean, that's why you got a kicker, to trust him for moments like that. And if you can't trust your kicker in moments like that, then you don't have the right kicker. Like the Raiders, how many times have they put Daniel Carlson out in situations like that? I can remember last year against the Saints on a Monday night early in the season, they sent Daniel Carlson out there for like a 58-yarder. It was a 1-score game. He makes this field goal. It's a 2-score game. They win. It's over. The Saints don't have enough time to get 2 possessions to win the game. If he misses this kick, the Saints have a chance to go down the field and tie the game up, or potentially win it if they decided to go for 2. He bangs the field goal home from like 58. It's game time. You know, whatever. It was like 54 or something like that. It was a long-ass field goal. I was like, whoa, that takes some stones, but that means you believe in your kicker. They did it again with him this year, where they sent him out there in a game early in the season. I want to say it was against the Ravens, where I'm like, yo, this is risky. If he misses this, you're going to lose the game. No problems. He knocked it down from like 53 or 56 or whatever it was. When you got confidence in your kicker, that shit don't matter. It's when you don't have confidence in your kicker, that's when shit gets risky. Gregory Lightbody says, Washington football team offense is so trash. How does Terry only get 28 yards in a game and couldn't score 30 on the worst defense? Well, you just said it. Our offense is trash. So you answered your own question. And there you have it. Niners fan says, I'd take my guy Bosa over Chase Young every day of the week. Just saying. You're not wrong. Well, so Chase Young is my guy. So I would take my guy. But your guy, I've said this already. The Bosas, both of them, Nick and Joey, were certified black belt hand specialists coming into the league. I've never seen anything like it. And to me, 70% of winning in this league as a pass rusher has to do with hand usage. And the Bozos are the best in the game at using their hands. So that's what makes Nick so dynamic, is Nick will win without even taking 2 steps because he's already defeated you with his hands. Now he's by you, and now he's getting to the quarterback. Whereas Chase Young wants to beat you with speed and with his quickness and athleticism, and it's not even elite. Like, it's not Von Miller. He can't bend the corner. It's not any of those dudes that strike fear in your heart from that standpoint. And he doesn't use his hands. So he compounds the matter and makes it worse. But I don't disagree with you. You're not wrong. You put a gun to my head, I probably would take Nick Bosa too. But I take Chase Young probably just off the strength of, 1, he's my guy. 2, I can't deal with the injuries. And I think both those Bosas, I think it's something in the gene pool there where those boys just going to always be banged up because they play so hard. They always going to end up banged up with something. So I think I'll just stick with my guy because my guy seems a lot more durable than your guy. He says, Bosa has one of the highest double team rates in the league and is still wreaking havoc consistently. That's another thing. Chase has got to learn how to play through double teams. And that's a skill that, again, hands. What Bosa did on that play was he engaged and then he disengaged. Get out of here. You know, you can't let guys get into your chest successfully. You control the action and dictate what happens when you use your hands. You get off first. It's like having a jab in a fight. You establish the jab. You create the distance that you want in the fight. And then when you want to close that distance, you can. But when you let somebody else dictate to you how the pace of the fight is going to go, how far the fight is going to be fought at, what the distance is going to be fought at, you now are at the mercy of that fighter. And Chase has to understand these things. I don't know what he's being taught. I just know whatever's being taught, Either it's not good enough or it's not being transferred over to the field. That's frustrating because he's too talented for him to be doing the same things over and over again. Red Wings 01 writes, TJ got triple teamed, had his face mask pulled, and still managed to run around to get to Geno. Dude's a man among boys. Again, it's all about technique, relentlessness as well, but it's technique, and he's been in the league long enough to know, because when you a dog like that, you're going to get double and triple team. He's earned that right to be double and triple team. That's an honor. When they see fit to put 2 or 3 bodies on you, you that dude. And so you learn. That's why Aaron Donald is so good at defeating double and triple teams. Why? Because he's seen so many of them. So you develop almost like a callus, you know what I'm saying? A hardness and a way to now protect yourself against double and triple teams. Okay, this is what they're going to try to do. This is how I'm going to defeat it. You learn because you've been double teamed so much. I'm going to bounce off of this dude, slice through the other dude. I'm in the backfield now. It's an art to it. And, Chase in college is not sophisticated. And he could win with just raw ability. That's not the case in the NFL. Anyway, that's it. We're going to get out of here. We over our limit, past the hour. Went through a bunch of comments tonight. I appreciate y'all chopping it up with the kid. I tell you what, this is a good night of sports. The Braves walk off, and this game going to overtime, and the Steelers pulling it out and prevailing 23-20. It's a good night of football. It really started with the Cowboys-Patriots game, getting us to Sunday night with that overtime thriller. And then this game, and then the baseball game, going simultaneously and both going down to the wire with walk-off finishes. I'd say this is a pretty damn good night of sports, if I may say so myself. Steelers get the win, 23-20, get back to 500 on the season. TJ Watt literally took over the game in overtime, making play after play after play, including ultimately what turned out to be the game-winning play as he forced a fumble of Geno Smith deep in Seahawks territory to allow the Steelers to recover the fumble and kick the walk-off field goal. Chris Boswell delivers, and the Steelers get the win 23-20 over the Seahawks, who are now 2-4 in their first game without Russell Wilson in a decade. They fought, they hung tough after being down 14-0 at halftime. The run game was critical for them, but they fell short and couldn't get it done in overtime. Had 2 opportunities, could not get it done in OT. So that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. I thank you guys for joining me. If you haven't already done so, do me a huge solid and hit the subscribe button for more great content. Turn on your notification bell so you don't miss a thing, and hit the like button. Over 110 of you out there, only 57 likes. We can do so much better than that. Please hit the like button. I am begging you, please, and thank you in advance. Get that number up to at least 75 on the way out. I know we can do it. Hit the like button if you haven't already done so. That's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. Until next time, get off the bench, get in the game, and kick it with me, your man, Louie T. I'll see you guys hopefully tomorrow for the podcast. If not, it'll be Tuesday, but I'll definitely see you tomorrow for Monday Night Football overtime. Bills, Titans should be a really good one. Looking forward to it. Until then, God bless and good night.